Yo, what's going on in Taiwan right now, man? China has them surrounded, but at the same time, they want the West to feel comfortable investing in their economy, okay? We got a couple of articles here. Let's get into it real quick, guys. Taiwan's military on high alert as Chinese warships spotted near the island. Taiwan's military has initiated combat readiness drills after Chinese warships were spotted near the island, Taipei said Monday morning. Observers have been speculating that Beijing would launch fresh military drills in response to Taiwanese President Lai Ching-te's meeting with U.S. House Speaker Johnson in Guam last week. Taiwan's military was on high alert Monday after detecting Chinese warships near the island, Taipei said, as Beijing vowed to firmly defend its sovereignty in response to the drills. What a joke. Firmly defend your own sovereignty from a sovereign island. When y'all fought a civil war, pushed them back, and y'all never bothered to finish the civil war? I mean, they're their own island, their own government, their own currency. They are completely sovereign. There are no laws China invokes that apply to Taiwan as a province. It's ridiculous. But they still try to claim this soft power propaganda. Dude, why didn't you finish the civil war if they were a part of your country? Taiwan's defense ministry said it spotted Chinese Coast Guard vessels and that the Beijing's People Liberation Army had restricted the airspace off the Chinese coast. There had been intense speculation about the possibility of China launching military drills in response to Taiwanese President Lai Ching-te's trip to the Pacific, which included stopovers in Hawaii and Guam. In response to these actions, by the PLA, the MND has initiated combat readiness drills, factoring in enemy threats, weather conditions, and tactical positioning, the Ministry of National Defense in Taipei said in a statement. It added that military units were on high alert, and those on outlying islands had heightened their vigilance. The ministry said its forces had identified PLA Eastern, Northern, and Southern Theater Command naval formations along with Coast Guard vessels entering areas around the Taiwan Strait and Western Pacific. There were no immediate public announcement by the PLA or Chinese state media about increased military activity around Taiwan. However, a Beijing Foreign Ministry spokeswoman said China would firmly defend its sovereignty in response to the Chinese drills. Taiwan regards itself as a sovereign nation with its own government, military, and currency. Yeah, there was a civil war between the CCP or CPC, whatever you want to call it, and the PRC, People's Republic of China, and the CCP pushed them back all the way back into Taiwan, the island of Taiwan. It was coming off the backs of the Second Civil War. I mean, it's coming off the backs of the Second World War. And the PRC was heavily weakened by Japan. And the CCP had gained a lot of public support by fighting off Japan ruthlessly and brutally, right? And so they were able to push the PRC back to the island of Taiwan. But then from there, it was at a holding position till it is now. Both countries grew separately in sovereignty into what they are today. They never finished their civil war. Only through pressure from the U.S., as a proxy from the international banking system, after Mao made it clear he was willing to abuse his people in order to turn China into the global manufacturing base, only after that kind of geopolitical pressure did the world slowly stop acknowledging Taiwan as China and shift to recognizing main body China as China, because it assisted the overall neoliberal globalist economic agenda that our elites had for our country. So, guys, that's the only reason why the whole Civil War was never finished, man. This whole thing is a soft power joke. But Beijing insists the island is part of its territory and has not ruled out using force to bring it under its control. Lai spoke with the Republican U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson in Guam on Thursday, the highest level U.S. contact the Taiwanese leader had during a week-long trip, during which drew a barrage of criticism from Beijing. China's foreign ministry warned Taiwan on Friday that seeking independence with the help of the United States will inevitably hit a wall. We're seeking independence, bro. And called on Washington to cease meddling in Taiwan-related affairs. Ridiculous, dude. In response to the question about possible Chinese military drills around Taiwan following his trip, Lai told reporters on Friday that raising your fists is not as good as opening your hands. Well, I mean, they were opening their hands to Taiwan. They weren't raising their fists at anybody. And secondly, it pisses me off how the U.S.'s strategy is never to recognize Taiwan as a country. It's really frustrating. Our whole strategy is to try to thread the needle by showing support for Taiwan as a country without directly acknowledging them as a country. It's not right. The entire global order should have recognized Taiwan as a country decades and decades and decades ago, man. And then that would have helped us prevent this whole situation. position. No matter how many military exercises, warships, and aircraft China sends to coerce neighboring countries, it cannot win the respect of any country, Lai said. Unusual movements. Taiwan's Coast Guard said on Monday it detected unusual movements of several Chinese Coast Guard ships since early Friday, the day Lai returned to Taipei. Beijing's army airspace restrictions east of Zhejiang and Fujian provinces were expected to be in place until Wednesday, Taiwan's defense ministry said. Any unilateral, irrational acts of provocation could severely undermine peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific region and are unwelcome by the international community, the ministry said. It added that the PLA's recent activities near Japan and South Korea and the Philippines and Taiwan have introduced risks and uncertainties to regional security. Oh, no. You're threatening China's sovereignty, okay? If you don't let China build islands off the coast of your country in the Philippines or anywhere else in the South China Sea, if you don't let China ram your fishing vessels trying to assert dominance over the South China Sea, you're affecting Chinese sovereignty, okay? Your sovereignty isn't a part of the picture, okay? It's all about Chinese sovereignty, guys. You got it backwards, okay? From the limited information available, the 7 restricted airspaces are likely to be used for 2 main purposes: missile testing and simulating no-fly zones, which represent blocked airspace. A blocked airspace state. Su Zuyun, a military expert at the Institute for National Defense and Security Research in Taipei, told the Associated Free Press. Taiwan faces the constant threat of military attack by China and relies heavily on U.S. arms sales to boost its defenses. On the eve of Lai's Pacific tour, the United States approved a proposed sale to Taiwan of spare parts for F-16s and radar systems, as well as communications equipment, a deal valued at $385 million. Lai said in the U.S. state of the House of Hawaii, Lai said in the U.S. state of Hawaii during his trip that there was no need to fight together to prevent war, warning that there are no winners from conflict. China has launched 2 large-scale military drills around Taiwan since Lai took office and regularly deploys fighter jets, and Navy ships to press claims over the island. Lai has been more outspoken than his predecessor in defending Taiwan's sovereignty, angering Beijing, which calls him a separatist. You're delusional, Beijing. Okay, so, guys, Beijing is upset. They are upset at Taiwan right now, and they are trying to exert soft power that will turn into something real, I guess, if they feel like they can do it and the international community isn't paying attention. But at the same time, Beijing wants you to feel comfortable investing in their economy, guys, because even though they have been cracking down, even though they do nothing but steal intellectual property from U.S. companies, even though they invite U.S. companies to go and open up and have access to their giant market, then they steal their data, and then they open a competitor, and then they completely oust and regulate the U.S. company out of existence and completely steal the technology, even though they engage in all that over and over again with no sign of that they care or ever want to stop. They want the U.S. to feel comfortable in investing in their economy because Chinese leaders vow more relaxed monetary policy in 2025. Chinese President Xi Jinping and other top leaders said Monday that they would adopt a more relaxed approach to monetary policy as they hashed out plans to boost the economy for the next year. The world's second largest economy, battling a sluggish domestic consumption and persistent crisis in the property sector and soaring government debt, all of which threaten Beijing's official growth target for this year. Leaders are eyeing a second term of Donald Trump in the White House, with President-elect indicating he will reignite his hardball trade policies, fueling fears of another standoff between the superpowers. On Monday, the Politburo, the country's top decision-making body, held a meeting to analyze and study the economic work of 2025. State news agency in Xinhua said, "We must vigorously boost consumption, improve investment efficiency, and comprehensively expand domestic demand." Xinhua quoted officials having said, yo, man, they are shook. Donald Trump enters the room and everybody starts shaking in their boots, man. That's crazy, dude. So this is a response to Trump. They said, don't worry, guys. Don't worry. We still want that U.S. investment. No, I know. Our real estate sector's collapsing. Nobody wants to buy anything anymore. There's a whole lie flat movement. There's a whole ruination movement going on in our country. But don't worry, we do nothing but steal your intellectual property and then sell it to our people after stealing it to you and shutting down your businesses. But don't worry, guys. We want you to invest. We got a new city. We got a new giant city. We're getting ready to build it. We want you to invest in it. There's no one living in it yet. But in about 50 years, it's ridiculous. Yo, there's this saying, I got a bridge to sell you. Yo, China has an entire city to sell you, okay? Like, dude, it's ridiculous, man. Next year, we should implement a more active fiscal policy and appropriately relaxed monetary policy. The relaxed monetary policy is a reference to what worked for them in the 2000s when they opened up and the West came pouring in. Analysts at the SG Market said the shift had represented the first of its kind since 2011. The readout from the Politburo meeting is striking on all the right notes. Yeah, with their rhetoric, man, they just want, they want U.S. dollars, dude. I don't buy into it. Don't buy into this game. Striking all the right notes with a few notably more dovish phrases and some unusually plainly straightforward pledges. Yeah, like their claims with their whole AI industry. Right? Didn't Huawei come out with their whole fancy AI system and it turned out to be someone with a microphone in the back? Like, dude, this is ridiculous, man. Like, no, don't buy anything these people say, man. Another analyst said the shift shows the government recognizes the urgency of economic challenges China faces, and the announcement of efforts to significantly boost consumption in the coming year represents another positive signal, wrote Zhang Ziwei, president and chief economist at Pinpoint Asset Management, in a note. Struggling to rebound, Beijing has been unveiling a string of measures since September aimed at bolstering growth, including cutting interest rates, canceling restrictions on home buying, and easing debt burdens on local governments. And in October, the central bank said it had cut 2 key interest rates to historical lows. But economists have warned that more direct fiscal stimulus aimed at shoring up domestic consumption is needed to restore full health in China's economy as fears of renewed trade war with the United States mount. Not to mention, their economy is collapsing on its own. With everything going on in the real estate, dude, the quality assurance in China has collapsed. Their ability to engage in reliable construction has collapsed, and it's not just affecting them. It's affecting their Belt and Road Initiative and their partners around the world. So no, this is an issue that I think is going to result in a major correction of the Chinese economy, one akin to a collapse, one that people would call a collapse, absolutely. And I think that it's necessary because China needs to completely rebuild its economic infrastructure and its supply chains, because they've been squeezing off the top, skimming off the top, and diluting the quality that they even have in their own country, to the point now where brand new hospitals are falling apart. You've got entire subway systems collapsing. Dude, it's insane. Underscoring the continued sluggish consumption facing China, officials' data on Monday showed the consumer price growth slowed even last month. Consumer price index, a key measure of inflation, came at 0.2%, down from 0.3% on the National Bureau of Statistics said. That was below the 0.4% forecast in a Bloomberg survey of economists. With meetings this week intended to set out broad approaches rather than specific policies, Ting Lu, chief China economist at Nomura, wrote in a note, "We still expect from the conference, despite some hyped marketing expectations. We still expect little from the conference, despite some hyped marketing expectations. Due to the property meltdown, the fiscal crisis, and worsening tensions with the U.S. and China's economy, it is not a normal down cycle, so it may take much more than the recent bazooka stimulus package to reboot the economy," wrote Ting. And they are whitewashing all of their domestic issues that are brewing and coming to the surface with their own inability to have quality assurance in their own infrastructure production. So no, I think that they're facing a major fiscal crisis, and I think that they're looking to create a narrative that blames it on the U.S. and some sort of trade war, which, I mean, they would have to do in order to sell it to their people as not being completely their fault. High-pressure crackdown. Beijing's leadership also said it would intensify an anti-corruption drive, calling for a high-pressure posture in punishing graft. Xi has overseen wide-ranging campaign against official corruption since coming to power over a decade ago. That is how that whole corruption hunt and that whole corruption crackdown is what a government and what an authoritarian leader will do when they are looking to centralize power and authority in a way that does not ruin their reputation on the world stage. Okay, guys? So what you've been seeing Xi do is literally consolidate power under his faction by claiming that all of the most influential members and heads of the two opposing factions that kind of vie for power within the CCP to represent the mafia organizations that comprise the actual influence of the CCP, those factions, he's claimed those heads are corrupt, and they've either left, resigned, disappeared, or been killed. So this whole corruption, this whole thing is actually kind of in a lot of ways a whitewash of what's going on in China, because their economy's collapsing on its own. It's not a result of any trade war with the U.S. It's not a result of Trump getting into office. And then at the same time, Xi Jinping's anti-corruption drive is more of a consolidation of power drive, and that's seen by their most recent. They had a when they voted to re-elect Xi back into power, there was no opposing votes. Zero opposing. It's crazy, dude. It's crazy to see an entire government and every single person says aye because they're too scared to say nay. Dude. And not only that, what he's done to the country since then, he's destroyed their economy by shutting them down to the West and making enemies all over the world in this obsession with this new Chinese century. Dude, he's really ruined. He's really ruined China's ranking on the world stage. And it's unfortunate. Recent efforts have focused on the military, with top official Mao Huai last month joining a host of high-ranking officials to be removed from their positions in just over a year. Man, dude. Officials on Monday pledged to strengthen the mechanism for investigating and addressing unhealthy practices and corruption. Dude, and when things start building up like this and you see more and more of it, and now it's affecting the military, it's because he's losing power and he's losing support in the institutions of government. That's what's going on. They also called for China to deepen integrated efforts to rectify unhealthy practices and combat corruption, according to state media. So China is getting ready to make serious moves with Taiwan, and they want Taiwan to know to shut the hell up and stop invoking their sovereignty around the world and stop enforcing themselves as a sovereign country around the world, right? But at the same time, China does not want Trump to get nervous and Trump to get pissed, and he wants y'all to feel comfortable investing. Okay, so it's real interesting the way that they try to use their soft power. And guys, China is not the way they project themselves to be on the world stage, man. We got to stop buying the soft power bull that China keeps pushing out, and we got to address the Confucius Institute in our country, because they are subverting our authority. And the Confucius Institute, in my opinion, it has been involved in hijacking those old school Russian stay-behind networks from the collapse of the Soviet Union. In so many more ways. I mean, it gets deep when you talk about the proxy wars that are being fought via institutional capture in our halls of government and power, guys. But anyway, I thought it was interesting, man. China trying to do two things at once, right? Trying to look strong, but then also say, hey, give me money, guys. So anyway, I'll see you guys on the next segment. Appreciate you guys for watching.